Hi guys. Hello. Sorry I was late. I got my little Bluetooth head nodules, and I was really hoping I could have those hooked up, so I wouldn't feel like I need to be attached by a cord to the computer, because that gets super annoying when I'm trying to move around in the old art studio. So yeah, but I guess since it didn't work, I'm going to plug my regular headphones back in. Because, you know, I like to hear when I get notifications of things, so I can interact appropriately. Instead, I'm going to use these janky, busted, old, garbage headphones. Oh, and look, I can't even hear anything out of them anyway. Okay, great. Somehow I broke it all. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hi, Sigrid. Let's do our recent subscriptions. Okay, on YouTube we've got Hind Ruaha, Alexis Levesque, TV 1989, Deborah H. Asper, Eddie Mobbs, Someone Korean, Cynthia Lager, Nightmare FX Canberra, let's see, J, immediately followed by an H. What would that be? Jonathan, Death Prevails 713, Owen Good, Carlos Sandoval Para, Dan Shellac, Joe Lacey, ooh, someone maybe Russian, Chibukom Nuizu, Mamonayale. I'm kind of glad my face is obscured, because this may be the most embarrassing set of pronunciations yet. Mickey McGarity, Holly Wagner, Michael Miles, Reynolds Brand Movies, and Jane McLaughlin. Hi everyone. Hello. I'm gonna be gosh darn close to being done with this thing tonight. I feel like hoping. I hope to be correct. African Diva 5 can indeed hear me. Excellent. Alright. If anyone knows how to get Bluetooth ear things to make your computer, your desktop computer, be like, hey, I see those. I got a little Bluetooth USB dongle thing. So in theory, it should be saying, hey, I'm looking for Bluetooth stuff. But when I go to the Bluetooth menu in Windows, it's like, I don't know, I see like an Xbox or something, maybe. Anyways, these headphones don't need to be here. Okay. I feel like I'm almost ready to actually start doing some art. Okay, so I've got these LEDs coming out of here. Let me give you proper lighting so you can see it. Is Discovery on? That was the problem with yours. Star Trek Discovery. Let's see. I'm gonna try add Bluetooth or other device. Mice, keyboards, pins, or audio and other kinds of Bluetooth devices. Well, I guess headphones probably fit in that category. Okay, let me make sure these guys are flashing. I assume that's usually a thing that you want. Anyway, these guys' little tongues light up, so I attached them, and so now they have these kind of free-floating wires on their belly, and so I thought I'd cover that with some kind of little wormy bellies of some sort. Oh, hey, look! Geeky! The name brand you all know and trust. Geeky brand headphones. Buy now, get 5,000% off. Use promo code Josh Foreman Says at geeky.com. Sponsored, not really. Okay, I'm gonna click this. I'm gonna see if it connects. Let's see. Connecting. Press connect if the pin on Geeky G3500 matches this one. The pin. Where's a pin number? That's an awful long pin number. We're just, you know what, I'm just going to say that it matches. I don't think anyone else has a set of Geeky headphones here. Oh, connected. Okay, cool. Great. So I hear something coming out, but I don't hear any music. You guys hear music, right? I wonder if I need to tell my audio. Oh, that's right, I replugged in my headphones. Let me unplug this. Okay. So now I imagine I need to tell Mr. Computer in the audio settings, use these things. Hearing, audio. Great. Change device or app volume. No, don't want to do that. Change other sound settings. This is the best art stream ever. I know it. Playback. Here we go. Set as default. Okay. Cool. Can I get like a? Can I test it? Use this device. Enable. Yeah. Levels. It's at 100. Okay. Test. I'm gonna test it. Ouch. Okay. Sound is definitely coming through there. Cool. Let's see. Is music playing here? Oh. Maybe I didn't have music playing for some reason. Because now I can hear. This is right. Cool. Wait. It's not coming out of this one. Do I have to press it? Why is it not coming out of this one? Alright. Enough of this tech support BS. I'll try to figure out, you know, I got enough where I can at least hear the computer chime when people do stuff. Yay. Okay. Lights. Camera. Sculpting. Let's do sculpting. I think I need something a little more rockin'. Where's my Windswept? That's the best for rocking out. Well, that's the best. Whoop. That's not it. Where the heck is Windswept? I don't have it? Huh. I need to get my windswept out here. No wonder I'm not rocking often enough. Alright. Sculpting. For real this time. I mean it. Look at this. I even have my sculpting tools out. There's no way I can go back on it now. Oh, it's so nice to be able to move around freely. There's no music. It's music for me. Let's see. Audio music. Was there music earlier? Okay. So, why then? I haven't changed anything. Let's see, device default. Headset, headphones, speakers, default. I mean, huh. I wonder, it wouldn't be because, no, because I had headphones plugged in earlier. I'll just try switching it to this. You guys tell me. Oh, now I see the thing going. You guys hear it now? And if so, tell me what the levels are like. No music? What? But I see the line moving, you guys. What more do you want from me? I mean, not you guys, I mean the computer. What more does the computer want from me? I think you vaguely hear it. Very low level. Okay. So what happens if I turn it way up to where it hurts my ears? Okay, tell me if you guys hear it now. Oh wait, I shouldn't have to change that. I can put it back to where it's comfortable for me and just turn up this. Okay, now tell me up or down. I don't trust that Sigurd said that after I said that, okay? Okay, up or down? Okay, so when I'm talking at normal voice volume, testing 1, 2, 3, you can hear me just fine over the volume of the music. Epoxy sculpt is so painful to pull out of the tub when it's nearly frozen in the garage. I mean art studio, the professional art studio that I work in. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. Thumbs are really hurting. It's like mixing a month-old gum wad that's been sitting in a freezer for a month. So what have people been up to creatively so far this week? Writing, sculptures, painting, dance, calligraphy. I don't care what it is. Let me know what you've been making. You didn't kill everyone in Red Dead Redemption 2? Guess you could consider that project. Congrats on keeping some people alive. Exactly what to do with these tongue shapes yet, which means I probably should have started on one that's not super prominent like this. I don't know if I want it to be like another little like fluke head coming out. Did you guys hear like 2-second pause in the music there? I'm guessing it's just like the connection between my Bluetooth headset is not perfect. Magic Penguin had to do a weird blues song for class. Hey, I did not say you could talk about music. I said dancing, painting, sculpting, or writing. Some people just can't follow the rules. Darn musicians. Letha says, oh! I was trying the collection of arcade games you had in the group of the Xbox, and I'm terrible at all of them. Yeah. Arcade games are ridiculously difficult because they were designed primarily to pull quarters out of people's pockets. If you could just breeze through them, you know, beat the game in 5 minutes and never play it again. I'm not discriminating about what is art or not. I'm just saying that music is not art. It's more of a hobby or a craft.
Sunshine, when I'm near you, it feels like the sunshine. You make me feel alive. Maybe I'm crazy, yeah, baby, I'm crazy, yeah, maybe you're crazy too. Tomorrow I'll wake with the sunshine to sit and feel alive. When I'm near you, feels like the sunshine. You make me feel alive.
Is it a Phillips or a flathead? Phillips is like the X6. This is, speaking of books, I got 11 sales since Friday and around 1,500 pages read. Nice. Alita says hi. She says you look amazing. I'm just kidding, they can't see you.
Oh my god.
They can't see how hideously ugly you are right now.
Why are you tiny like you
Want me to do it? You're safe from the camera. The camera's pointed like this way. Okay. Are those new boots?
Yeah, I got
You just need to have manly, strong fingers like me. That's the one thing I wish was different about you, is I wish you had manlier, stronger fingers.
Take the hand that leads you, babe. Look into my heart, and nails to see the bleeding. Standing here will just tear us apart.
Probably doesn't make particularly good TV because I've got to, like, I purposely angled all of these editions as, you know, buried them as much as possible visually so you wouldn't see the wires, which means means all of this cover-up work is necessarily up and under, occluded, if you will. How many pages are your books, Aletha? Like, if you sold 11 books and had... Oh, I guess those 1,500 pages aren't necessarily from those particular books you sold, right? Yeah, sculpting black on black. That is a little tricky. Flashlight will help. How far are you in Red Dead, African Diva? I've heard so many mixed things about that game. I will certainly try it at some point, but I cannot start any big games until after my book is shipped. Now, I don't think I have to worry too much about blending this thing I'm doing now into the surface, because once the transparent goo goes over it, you know, all the highlights and stuff will obscure any weird seams. Red Dead is amazing, but I suck at it. I mean, are you sure it's that you suck at it? And not that it's just like poorly poorly implemented design. Stuff is so much easier to work with in the summer. Lita says, going on a trail ride tomorrow. First time I've done one this late in the year. We're gonna turn into popsicles. Oh man. Well, just be aware of the moose in your periphery. I think you saw that that video I shared on Facebook of the person in Red Dead Redemption 2 who was just gazing at this beautiful white horse, and then out of nowhere a moose just slaughtered them. Where is the trail that you ride on? Ridgefield. Why can't you do the side trails? Is there actually snow or too wet? Oh, double drat. All the drats. No, not all of them. I need to hold some drats back in case of some real emergency. See if I can get you guys an angle where you can kind of see what I'm doing. I want to make the mouth parts kind of follow the general heart-shaped convolutions that are already going on there. Too wet and muddy, and some of them are a bit steep. Oh well. Well, I'll try to save some of my drats for you, and you could use them on your trail ride if you have any dratful accidents. That's good, you know the trails well. Do either of your horses, like, resist going on the steeper parts, usually? Or are they, like, good horses, like Red Dead Redemption, and if you steer them into a tree, they will just go headfirst into a tree? Yeah, I don't think it's good to slide down a steep cliff with on the back of a horse. I don't think that's the cool thing. I know all the hip kids are doing it. They want you to think it's cool, but I'm telling you now, I don't think it's that cool. You shouldn't do it just to impress the teens. Oh, this is kind of interesting. I could get kind of a pedal or scale thing going here. Haven't ridden Samara out on a trail ride, but Stoney will usually go wherever. Except there is one hill with the bridge at the bottom, and she balks halfway down, so the other rider has to lead. So far, we have not run into a tree. That's good. I mean, I'm sure you've seen what happens when Michaela has run into trees. It's not pretty. Also wanted to do little gross like centipede legs on these guys, so I'm gonna experiment, see if I can find a way to kind of quickly get those in. Michaela cantered along a lot on Samara yesterday without running into trees, which was amazing because I'm still chicken to canter on her, but I did a little too. Is canter the one where you like slam up and down on the saddle uncontrollably, like it's just before a gallop? Little leggies coming out like this. What does that do? Usually with this stuff, I kind of block in a form, I wait for it to dry, or set, and then I'll do a little carving, a little adding, subtracting. I would love to not do that for this, since I just want to crank through this. I just want it for my next, I forget what I called those videos. There is a set of videos that I have for just casual people who don't care about tutorials and just kind of want to see a super fast overview of a thing. I'm going to be doing that for the Demon Hunter album covers that I did, and so I wanted to have my previous stuff like in top-notch condition for that video as well. I would like to come ride your horses sometime, Alita. I agree with that. Definitely not in the winter. I wish Heather could, but I'm certain that it would just destroy her body. She can't even like scroll on social media anymore. Her hands are just falling apart so fast. I mean, she can, but for just a very limited amount of time. But she's all like emotionally jazzed up because she started back at Starbucks and has that emotional high she gets when she interacts with people, and so that's nice. It's just frustrating for her that can't be coupled with, you know, the ability to actually do things. One thing I should check on, I have somewhere like leftover centipede legs from this guy that I did for that hot glue bug thing. I don't know where those floor somewhere? Oh. Here we go. The answer is yes, they did just stay on the floor somewhere. So I got these bugs. I got these kind of wonky legs, although to be honest, the legs I'm making right now are kind of wonky too. Ooh, I should put this guy inside where if you look through the nostril you can see him. Those legs won't save the day. Magic Penguin says, how did you end up doing a cover for Demon Hunter? Well, I didn't. I ended up doing 2 covers for Demon Hunter. And the answer is, well, that last video where I showed the making of this and 2 other ones, I gave one of them to Ryan at the last concert that was in Seattle. That was like, I don't know, a little over a year ago. And apparently it inspired him. He was like, you know what? I think this might be the guy to do our next album covers. So he got a hold of me and he was like, nah, just kidding. I mean, they're one of my favorite bands, so I was obviously super excited. Letha says, she might be able to sit on Sononi and do a walk if I lead her. That's really sad though, that would be very frustrating. You know, even getting into the saddle, I guarantee you, would put all sorts of joints out of whack for her. Like, she really is just one bad fall away from being wheelchair bound, which hopefully it never gets to that point, but boy, if it does, that's going to be really rough for her. Just emotionally, because walks are so important to her mental health right now. And working at Starbucks is that's her social diet, which, being a very social person, that's what energizes her and makes her happy. Yeah, I don't know. Turns out degenerative diseases aren't actually as fun as people claim they are. That's what I'm learning. My own degenerative disease is just kind of annoying. Like, it just makes it so... Mostly it makes it so I can't do all the kinds of weightlifting maneuvers I wish I could. But other than that, it hasn't really been a problem in many years. Yeah, I wish I got energy from being social as well. I feel like I get energized when I do streams, but it's obviously a very different format than being in a room full of people that you're expected to interact with and such. My degenerative disease is the same one John has. It's ankylosing spondylitis. It's not spine, really. It can be almost any joints. It's just your autoimmune system thinking it needs to attack your joints. I think for most people it's in the pelvis. That's where it started for me. Like my tailbone would just be in agony from sitting down. Actually, not from sitting. It was whenever I got up from sitting down that it would just like felt like my tailbone had been like crushed in, and then someone was like ripping it out. But I was on Humira for about 6 months and it went away. And then I got off Humira and it stayed away. But apparently not totally away, because it came back in my left shoulder and now I think it's moving to my right shoulder. Which is why proportionately my delts are underdeveloped for the rest of my muscle building. But you know, whatever. I'm not a professional bodybuilder. It doesn't hurt me. Alita says my tailbone has slight issues because I fractured it a long time ago, but since it was an injury on my bottom, I was too embarrassed to tell my parents. I was maybe 13 or something. Oh, that sucks. It's like when I was, what was I? Probably 10 or 11. I tried going off a bicycle ramp that the big kids were using, and I chickened out at the last minute, and so I ended up just kind of falling forward off of the top of the ramp, which was, I don't know, probably 3 or 4 feet in the air. And then I hit the ground on, my bike bounced out from under me and I slid along the sidewalk, like on the side of my face, and it tore my ear halfway off. And so I was just kind of in shock. I walked my bike home, and it was like my top priority was to wash the blood off so my mom wouldn't find out. So I was using the hose to to wash off the side of my face, but she caught me. Went to the ER, got a bunch of stitches. My ear eventually stayed on. That was nice. It didn't have to do that. But yeah, it's funny how embarrassment can compound our injuries. We do so many just stupid things to the point of like literally dying sometimes because we're too embarrassed to say a thing or do the right thing or whatever. Letha says, the only reason I'm pretty sure my tailbone got a tiny fracture was because the physical sensation of shock and white behind the eyes was the same when I fractured a wee bone in my foot. And that one was x-rayed and treated. Yeah. got this little light at IKEA from my bedside, and it just randomly flickers. And that is not fun when you're reading a book, to have your light randomly flicker, in case you're wondering whether or not you should get a flickering light or not. I recommend against it. Like, it wouldn't be so bad if it was a candle that just was like randomly flickering, or like regularly flickering. This was just like, it'll stay on most of the time, and then, I don't know, 1% of the time it'll just like dim, flicker, come back on. But yeah, makes a really handy little gadget for when you need to sculpt on a tricky thing you need to see. Oh, I ran out of that a lot faster than I thought I would. Wondering if I could get away with doing fewer legs on the other guys. I think I can. It's such a kind of chaotic mass of writing things. Unless someone was like really examining that part, I don't think anyone will notice. Hey Meerkat, how's it going? Oh man, it's so many things. It's made out of So this part is resin that I cast. This part's wood. This part is epoxy sculpt. This stuff. This stuff. And yeah, I guess those are the main ingredients. Thanks. Thanks, Meerkat. By the way, if anyone wants to sing the praises of the amazing design of the Selvari, or the mind-blowingly wonderful names for most of the dyes in Guild Wars 2, you could thank Meerkat right now. Just let her know how amazeballs all that stuff is. I don't know. I think Selvari are pretty darn cool. Pretty cool. I don't know why I'm working so hard to maintain these little strands. I should just tear them off and not try to work my tools around them. On the other hand, not tearing them off means I don't have to redo them later. Although I'm going to have to redo some of them anyway, so... And honestly, it's one of those half a dozen of one, 6 of another kind of situations, because the amount of time I spend, you know, rotating my tool in awkward ways to avoid breaking them is probably also close to negligible. So how do you calculate that? Don't know. This says, in Yeah Dude's Twitch, we were talking about if we'd want to be stuck in a game and which one, and I said Guild Wars 2 because I want to meet Ritlock and Timey in person. Nice. And ride a roller beetle all over the place. That would be amazing. I agree with that. Cat says, but Josh, did you know what I loved about playing most of Guild Wars 2 was SAB? Hands down. I agree. Second fave was your holiday puzzles. Nice. Thanks. Grimstar says, looks like you're flexing on some sculpting there, Josh. Flexing on it. Well, that didn't work at all. Nothing like trying to stick slippery stuff to other slippery stuff. Again, the whole thing's gonna be covered in slime, so I'm just gonna keep reminding myself of that. So I stop this stupid, like, perfectionist thing in me that's like, you gotta make every leg perfect. Oh, with that good lighting, yeah. As long as I'm in my bathroom, I look amazing. I look like I'm flexing. I don't have like bags under my eyes. Like the shadows on my clothes look awesome. The secret is to just always stay in my bathroom. I'll be forever amazing looking. I just gotta convince myself that I'm sculpting like a Shiflet brother. Just being really loose and gestural with it. Don't get caught up on details like I'm doing right now. I'm trying to make every little joint have the proper bend, blah blah blah. Jeez, looking at it through the camera, and boy, you cannot tell what's going on there. Just a big mass of mush. That's fine. It's fine. I think the overall vibe is still there. wire is escaping. Back, wire back. Now watch, bending this wire to put it back in there is going to break the whole thing. Just watch it. Watch that happen. I mean, at some point, that's what happened last time. It was working perfectly. It was like right at the part where I was gluing down the face onto the surface that suddenly it's like, nope, this whole section is just done.
Framed in scarlet tapestries, awaiting their display. I sat holding on a banister, in hopes of yesterdays. While the rolling shadows burned the portraits in iron gray. In iron gray.
Interesting mush. Good. That's probably what I should rename this piece. Demon Hunter Interesting Mush.
I was lost within the gathering, wishing dreams away, clutching at the tragedies, avoiding my dismay.
I wanted to
The heartache while you're standing
do
there, visualize the flame.
the body on one of these. Oh, the clay is still relatively soft.
Burn the portraits in iron gray. Iron gray. Iron gray with the double dagger. Iron gray. Iron gray. Iron gray with the double dagger.
The Plastidip that I coated these in is great, but you can't. I was not able to get like a smooth worm shape. It still look like twisty wire. And maybe if I just kept dunking it over and over. Well, I can't really dunk it is the problem. I have to just paint it over with the brush. So I don't know. I'm gonna try this and see if this works. This gets tricky though, because the thinner you go, the more it wants to just break the clay, not the wire. Meerkat says some people spend years learning how to create interesting mush. They're way ahead of the curve. Biggest concern with this one is keeping it organic and not angular. Meerkat, how did your Monday afternoon of book design go? Did it turn out as inspiring and profitable as you had envisioned? Went rather well. Followed it up with a Tuesday of the same. Now I'm working on putting together the vectors for the diagrams. Thanks for asking. Had fun, still having fun. Awesome. More fun if Photoshop behaves better. Oh, I've been hearing from multiple people now having issues with various Adobe products in the last couple of days. Did they do an update or something that makes things suddenly unstable? Also, what the heck is going on with this music? This is terrible. This is the Rite of Courage from Dragonfire, you guys. Don't listen to it. Let's try the Rite of Justice. That's better. Okay, so they updated things and broke it. They broke it up. Oh, you didn't actually do the update? I'm trying to remember the other person. One of the people was having a problem with After Effects. So I don't know if it's like an Adobe-wide problem or just certain of their programs. Kind of wanting this to follow the general flow of this horn here. This could be coming out of this hole. I'm going to have to carve or sand this down a little bit. Can't make more significant headway right now. I just realized I don't have to hide from you guys.
Only more from the breaking me. The soaring trees provide shelter.
But yeah, right here, all up in my face. In my face.
Cries of the pain.
Feel how intimate this is now? It's like I'm sitting right on your lap.
And go beyond this endless cycle that's encompassed around me. Father in heaven who is above, holy is your name. As above, so below, and so goes the nature of my claim.
Brimstar claims not to be Santa, which to me I feel like that's exactly what Santa would say, so just gonna mark me as dubious of that claim. I'm not gonna outright deny that you're not Santa, but I am also not just accepting it without critical examination. Oh yeah, we did have meetings about that recently at ArenaNet. Now I know that I should not sit on my coworkers' laps without their permission. I mean, who would have thought we'd live in such a politically incorrect world where a guy like me is not allowed to just walk up to you and sit on your lap. Has PC gone too far, I ask you? Yeah, they went about as expected. I mean, it wasn't one of those, like, sexual harassment 101 type things. It was more just like re-explaining company policy on all sorts of HR matters. I'm sure some people need to hear that stuff on a regular basis. I mean, I could have. I got called into HR, I don't know, probably 4-ish years ago, because I was IMing with someone, and I made what I thought was a hilarious double entendre. And the recipient of that IM thought it was a hilarious double entendre. In fact, they thought it was so funny that they LOL'd at their desk. Now, it's unclear to me whether the person who filed the complaint was someone who, like, looked at the screen over their shoulder, or whether the person who received my IM and thought it was hilarious said it out loud. But however it ended going down, I got called into HR and got a talking to. It wasn't like you're a bad, evil person who shouldn't ever, you know, it was obvious to everyone that there was no bad intent there. It was more just like the company's at that size now where you just need to be more careful about this kind of thing. It could be interpreted that way or the other. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you're right. Can't deny that. I do not want to make anyone uncomfortable or unwelcome or any other bad thing. So that's how I learned my lesson several years ago. Overall, it was a good thing that it happened. Although the only reason, like, it could have been an awful thing, right? If my HR person had been the type of person who would be like, you know, we take everything absolutely literally and seriously at all times, and we don't understand that jokes are a thing that humans do. You must have meant the worst thing possible by this. You know, then it could have gone poorly, but fortunately HR at ANET is quite good, from my experience. Your mileage may vary. I think one thing I'm going to do is add a bunch of strands across this little gap here to make it seem like it's kind of ripping or peeling apart. That's going to make it extra gross. Yes, environment without jokes would be sad. We certainly haven't gone that far. But also, there's a lot of value in making room in the work environment for people who have the full spectrum of abilities to comprehend and be on the same, like, humor wavelength, right? It's like, that shouldn't be a mandatory thing to work at a company, is to have the same sense of humor as everyone else. Like, it's ideal. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, there's reasons that people have different senses of humor, and that, you know, that's just part of many pieces of a personality. And I would hate to say because they're not on the same wavelength as me, there's something inferior about them. So I understand it. It just means think a little more carefully. And honestly, that's like a personal goal I've always had for myself anyway, was to think more carefully about what I say, to whom, and when, and how, and, you know, so. Still no good at it, mind you, but it is a goal. They are on the same wavelength as me, they are inferior. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people think that way. Brimstar says, lol, my girlfriend said the same thing. That is the default, like, human assumption that we all have to fight in ourselves if we want to be better people. It's very hard to understand how people don't just get what we naturally get. Have I beetle raced yet? Oh yeah, of course. I don't think I've done it on live yet. No, I did a little bit. Yeah, I'm on the team that made beetle racing, so definitely been doing my share of it. Would love to make a dedicated beetle racetrack. That is something I'm going to advocate to get on the agenda. It's harder now for me because I switched to being a designer rather than a map artist, so I can't just like build a map anymore. I mean, I can, but standards have changed throughout the years, and like I'm a little behind on the times as far as knowing what the latest greatest props are and that kind of stuff. So yeah, when I first shifted over to design, I started building a map just like for testing stuff. Was like, oh, actually maybe this could work, and I ran it by the department head of the environment art team, and they were like, we would have to put a actual map artist on this to clean it up enough to be at our current level of quality bar. And like, yep, that is your job, is to be the gatekeeper for that. So even though I personally don't like to hear, hey, you're not good at this anymore, it's at least, you know, it means I'm still working on a game that has a high quality bar that that keeps raising. Grimstar, you're addicted to beetle racing. Nice. Getting better times, yep. Letha says, beetle racing makes me motion sick, apparently. Or maybe it's because I forget to breathe. It's sad, but I'll do it anyway in moderation. Nice. Brimstar says, I love it. The races, though, man. Keep doing the good work. It's a really great addition to the game. Time to build your own empire, Josh. I'm working on it. I'm working on it. Oh, hey, you guys help me brainstorm something. So, I've been doing all this research on building rocks and ruins with foam, as you've seen in previous streams. And I got really excited about this idea of doing a series of tutorials on different kinds of rocks and ruins, like looking at actual reference of actual locations that exist and then trying to do, you know, my fantasy version of it or whatever. But I'm not gonna make, I don't have the time to make a full, like, you know, big set or whatever of whatever the pieces are gonna be, because I want to do multiple ones of these. So I wanted to find some kind of project bucket that these could all fit in. So if you can imagine, you know, what I would be doing is like here's an example. Okay, so it'd be like, here is how you make this kind of rock, this kind of geological formation, and here's some ruins. You know, there would be two different tutorials probably, but having these like on some kind of platform or set, or like, I was thinking like the inside of a box, and then I could light it so it looks like kind of a diorama with a painted background or whatever. You know, it's very simple, nothing elaborate, but just like these kind of things sat in a thing. And since I'm going to be making several of these probably, how do I work them into the broader project of getting Tales from Talifar launched, world building kind of stuff? I don't know, because if I can't figure out a way to make it go towards my Tales from Talifar stuff, I'm not going to do it. Like, I've had to make these decisions. Like, I'm wrapping up this Demon Hunter thing, and after that I'm going to be super strict about my projects have to go towards my my empire. Faster, work faster, that's the answer? Okay. Brimstar, you have to stop yourself after a few hours of beetle racing. Yeah, it can be addicting. I like racing games in general, when you're trying to get beat your times, for sure. Letha says, do them after Tales from Talifar is launched. Brimstar says, you mean kind of a self-advertisement? I mean, they need to actively develop or be part of the development of Tales from Talifar. Like, I'm thinking if there's a way I can make them part of the, like, VizDev, visualization development, for specific locations or lands inside of Talifar. In fact, saying that out loud, that's probably what I would do, now that I think about it. I would have to say, okay, here's what the rocks around Megaloth City are like. Here's what the rocks in Discoria are like. They're like the rocks in Vancouver, BC, or the rocks at in the Appalachian Mountains or whatever, right? I would just pick those as a starting point and then spin them into something for Tales from Telefar. I did it. I solved my problem. Thanks for helping me brainstorm, guys. Making small parts of terrain that Beaumark travels through. Yep. Making them parts of the land of the world. Yep. Exactly.
What's my name? What's my name? What's my name? What's my name? Shattered child left inside. Broken room with broken dreams. Nameless child, faceless child. What the world needs dreams. Is this child me? Is this child me? Is this child me? Is this child me? What's my name? My name. What's my name? What's my name? What's my name? Who am I?
Grimstar says, so as you do these tutorials, you're wanting to market your book as well? Less about the marketing, although that's would be an obvious plus. The more I can talk about my books with tutorials, as long as it's natural and not like a forced thing, you know, the more able I am to do the tutorials and justify the time sink. Because I have a life goal. Part of that goal is to build a community of artistic people who are collaborating with me to kind of design this world. And so a part of that is, you know, I mean, what I'm not wanting to do is be cynical about it and be like, I just am using people for their brains, you know what I mean? That's not what it's about. I need to be bringing them value in that proposition. Part of that value, to me, I would think, would be participating in something as grand as what I'm trying to do, but that's not going to work. That's not going to be a value for everyone. That's going to be a value for people of a particular personality type. For other people who are artistically inclined, the value needs to be literally like, here is some knowledge. Like, people who want to build a particular diorama or wargaming, tabletop, whatever, will come to these tutorials and be like, okay, cool, this is how I make a sandstone castle. This is how I make, you know, marble statues. This is how I make shale, etc. But things that don't have any connection whatsoever, those are getting harder to justify. Like this Demon Hunter thing, for instance. Although that is at least tapping into a certain market, right? Like, there's, you know, Demon Hunter is not a small band. It has a significant audience of super diehard fans. So it's definitely good for building my community to be working on this kind of stuff. But it's not directly feeding into getting the books published and out there. So it's kind of a balancing act I'm trying to strike. Like, one thing I've heard from people who have kind of businesses that they want to promote on social media, there's a 20/80 rule, and it's like, 80% of your posts need to be something of just general interest that anyone could appreciate and like, regardless of whether they know you or your business, right? And then 20% can be promoting yourself and the stuff that you're doing. I think I kind of just naturally hit that balance. We'll see once the book is out and I'm more desperate to, especially at the beginning, because like the first month or whatever a book is out, if it doesn't get traction right away, getting it traction later is like impossible. So Brimstar says, I'm trying to think of different veins of avenue that would be interested in the tutorial and be interested in what you're creating. Miniature world building, D&D campaign stuff. Meerkat, no, this is not a commission. This is I made this like main sculpture and cast it in several different forms. Here, I'll show you real quick. Here's another one of the casts that I did. Let's see there. And so that I just had it and I wanted to do something with it. I did kind of semi-tutorial on it earlier, but it broke. So I'm fixing it, so when I do my big publicity thing to try to appeal to more Demon Hunter fans once the albums come out, then I can have this stuff to show. So I just wanted to fix it for that, pretty much. I did do Demon Hunter commissions, but it's not this. AJ says, I can send you links to a couple decent book advertising sites. You just keep writing and publishing. A lot of times it takes 6 or so years to gain traction. Yes, that's the more typical way it goes. Also, authors sometimes don't start making books enough to live off of until they publish 30 books. Or so I've read / been told here and there. So anyway, even if you don't get 1 million sales right away, you don't throw in the towel and give up. Oh yeah, that's not going to happen, obviously. I mean, selling books would be nice, but it's not my long-term plan is to be making whatever the word is for filmed things that aren't necessarily movies. It's not going to be TV shows much longer. That term is becoming antiquated. But whatever Game of Thrones is, to make that kind of stuff. But less filthy and violent. Sorry, everyone who likes filthy, violent things. I mean, I do love Game of Thrones. I just don't love it for its filth and violence. Want to / need to do more legs. Fix up the problem there. Let's get you guys situated again. No, don't focus on the blue thing back there, silly. What? Why are you going back there? How do I block that? Where's that blue? I can't. Here? Okay. Blue is being blocked. There you go. I don't know why it wants to focus on a blue flat panel way in the background. But ideally, it would be great if you got a lot of sales right away and got your empire started. Yes. I mean, I guess the pressure is like, my mom is in her 60s, I'm in my mid-40s. It's not like we have all of eternity to build this empire. On the other hand, being desperate and annoying is also not going to work. So hopefully we find a way to strike that balance. I mean, the first time you do anything, you're going to do it poorly. So I know that we're not going to do our social media and advertising blitz the best. Honestly, I think my biggest hope is that someone who's a Guild Wars fan reads the book, loves it, and posts on the Guild Wars 2 Reddit and is like, gotta check out the creator of SAB's Fantasy World. It's the best, you guys. Go see it. Go see it. Post links. That's probably my greatest, best hope. Because I imagine there's a lot of people who like Guild Wars 2 who would also like Tales from Talifar. It's not exactly the same tone, for sure. It's not like high fantasy in the same way, but it's got a lot of fantastic elements in it. And lots of adventure and cool characters. I figure it's kind of like, you know, I like Game of Thrones, but I also like Name of the Wind, but I also like Stormlight Archives. You know, it's like there's a lot of stuff that I like that's not identical, and that's cool. And I have a feeling a lot of people are that way. Okay, I was so close, but I just barely ran out of stuff. Letha says, feel free to mention that your cousin already has a lot of books out for your Guild Wars friends to read. Absolutely. Did the audiobook for Glitch in the Cosmos come out? Sigrid says, I will buy your books, that's for sure. Excellent. One sale confirmed. Our media empire has begun. Most importantly is if you will agree to rate it. Apparently that's the most important thing. Even if you don't like it, just rating it and saying why you don't like it, that is good for indie authors like us. Oh, Hidden Level is coming out as an audiobook. Okay, that's what I meant, sorry. Alita says, I hope to have the whole series in audiobook form by, I don't know, December 2019. Maybe, hopefully sooner. Oh, you'll also buy my books? Okay. I mean, considering all the books that you've gifted me, I think I should probably just gift you my books. Sigrid, love the Scarred King. Sigrid, did you read the whole thing on Google Doc? Oh, nice. Okay. Let me. Did I give you a link to the second one? I know I gave it to everyone that I saw like actively commented on the first one, because there's like, I don't know, 50 people I invited to the first one, so I didn't want to keep spamming people if they weren't gonna read it or didn't care. Could hardly stop when I had started. And I have not. Okay, cool, cool. We are Facebook friends, right? I mean, if I invited you to the first one, I should be able to find you on the second one. Is your email something Sigrid related? If I type in Sigrid, will I find it? Well, Aletha, I mean, 5% of 50 people actually gave feedback. Like, you know. I wish all 50 were giving feedback. I would love to be overwhelmed by feedback. Love it. I can never get enough feedback. I don't care if it's good or bad or indifferent. Like, all of it I consider super valuable. I have no ego about this. Okay, I'll try to remember to add you to the second book tonight. I believe it says, it's kind of like I gave around 15 people a copy of my first book to beta read, and I only heard back from 3. Oh, that's actually a pretty decent proportion.
I was witness to the gallery, the strokes of quaint array, framed in scarlet tapestries, awaiting their display. I sat holding on a banister, in hopes of yesterdays, while the rolling shadows burned the portraits.
Okay, thanks, Sigrid. And the second book is where you find out Skola's darkest, freakiest secret.
I was lost within the gathering, wishing dreams away, clutching at the tragedies, avoiding my dismay. Rush the heartache while you're standing there, visualize the flame, while overwhelming shadows burn the portraits.
Alright, that's good enough for legs for that buddy. You hear that, buddy? That's all you get. That's all you get, and you'll like it. You need a little bit of a mouthpiece. What is up with this stupid software that I tell it to do random, and I've got like 300 tracks, and within, I don't know, within an hour it's done the same track twice. I mean, it's fine, I like David Bowie rip-off bands like this, but still, it's still. I think one of the problems with getting feedback from people is, you know, the vast majority of people who say they'll read a book for you end up not doing it for various reasons. I mean, I understand reading a book takes a long time. It's not like, you know, watching your 5-minute video or something. And then of those who do, only a certain amount are actually going to legitimately like it. And those who don't legitimately like it are in this kind of awkward social situation then where it's like, well, if I say that I read it and didn't like it, you know, how are they going to not like me now? Which is why I try to make it clear that I honestly, truly, deeply, honestly want to hear if they don't like it, and that I will not be offended at all. I mean, it's so easy to not be offended. I do not understand authors who are offended. Like, no one likes whatever your genre, or, sorry, very few percentage of the population of the world likes exactly what your genre is. Right? I don't care if you're writing romance, which is like the #1 biggest selling genre in the world. There's a good portion of people who don't like romance and aren't going to like your book just because it's in that genre. So that alone should make any author not be upset when they find out someone doesn't like their book. And even if someone does like your genre, it doesn't mean they like your particular take on the genre. Like, you could still be an awesome writer and just have a style or a take that doesn't work for them, you know? So I don't know. I've never had a problem taking that kind of feedback. Oh yeah, I mean, people definitely try to spare your will feelings. That absolutely happens. Sigrid says, I do not comment much because I liked it, but I can read it again and give you more feedback if you want it. Yeah, I would absolutely love it. Like, anything that just strikes you as a little bit odd, you know, something that's... Like, I'll give you a great example. There's a scene in the first book where Beaumark has pretty much, you know, he's struck a deal with the bad guys that he's going to leave the island and go on this ridiculous quest that he just made up. And they're like, great. So he's out of our hair and we could do what we want to do. And he has this scene on the way out with his presumed love interest, but it was never really called out. You know, it was made clear that he had attraction for her, but also that he knew because he's a royal and she's a commoner that, you know, nothing could ever come of it, and blah blah blah. Okay. They have this emotional scene on a porch at, you know, in the middle of the night when he's escaping and he's trying to give her money because he had to do something awful to someone in her family. I'm not going to get too spoilery. And it was like, the scene, it was fine. Like, nothing stood out about it to me until someone said something about their relationship, like how it might be a little more... It wasn't even related to that particular scene, but my mom added this scene where they're, you know, it's sunset and they're, you know, Beaumark's having to navigate these feelings that he has for her, and she's showing that she would probably be receptive to it if he did, but he's got all this internal conflict. And just having that scene in there, suddenly it made that departure scene where she's like super angry at him, and like suddenly it was like powerful and intriguing and heartbreaking. And I was just like, wow, it turns out that when you add certain other elements, they're not just, it's not just a singular thing, it has ripples outward. And it's a no-duh thing if you think about it. Like, certainly in game design, like if you add a mechanic and think it's not going to affect anything else in the game, well, you just don't know much about game design, and or don't have a lot of experience in it. And I think that's what it was with writing for me. Like, I should have been able to, while reading that scene, say something just isn't compelling as it could be. It wasn't that it wasn't compelling at all. It was. It just, after that relationship was more fleshed out, suddenly it became something entirely different and better. And so that's the kind of thing that I think beta readers can really bring to the process. Like, just, no one said, hey, this scene feels flat, fix it. They were just like, man, I really wish I understood more about this relationship that's just kind of hinted at. I think that was the feedback that led to that. And yeah, so absolutely, any kind of feedback, just random thoughts, questions that come up that you're like, this seems unclear to me, that sort of thing. Especially interested in places where you feel like, I'm kind of bored right now. I don't, even if you can't say why, that kind of data is super valuable. I was telling my mom about this the other day. I was saying, I've shipped, I don't even know the number now. It's probably around 50. I've shipped around 50 products in my professional life. Mostly game-related stuff. And the number of times where I know if our team had an additional 3 months, in some cases even just an extra day or two, like our game could have gone from a 3-star game to a 5-star game, could have gone from a 70 to a 90 Metacritic. And it really all comes down to that last minute balancing that comes from listening to beta players. Letha says, I don't get offended, more like sad/disappointed, but then I get over it. Yeah. Is this the first thing I have written? So I am credited as a co-author, but what I really am is the world builder. I do some of the writing, but very little of it. I will go in and punch up action scenes and then go back later and realize that I did it poorly and then redo it and then realize that wasn't so good either and redo it again. Mostly it's my mom who's doing the writing, and she has several published by publishers books, so it is being competently handled, unlike those legs that just got pulled into the abyss. So if I was just the author, I would not be nearly as excited or ambitious, positive, what's the word I'm looking for, hopeful about it, but yeah, my mom's a really good author and really good at taking feedback and critique, and she's probably got an IQ of 150, and yeah, so the story is good. And the part that I worked on mostly was the world building, so I have confidence in that. Like, I've done a lot of thought, I've been working on it for 20 years. the world and the creatures in it and the societies and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like together we make a really good team, and therefore I really honestly think that it's a great story. It's a great book. It's a great trilogy. The other books that she's written are also incredible, and I can't wait to share them and get them out there. But yeah, if I was the author, I would not be saying that. I'd be saying, well, I hope it's good. We'll see. I mean, I wrote the Super Adventure Box dialogue. Does that count? That was technically published. I wrote Captain Wayant's the ghost pirate, and the Lion's Arch jumping puzzle. I wrote all that dialogue. That was published. So you could technically say that I am a published author, but that's quite a stretch. Alright, I feel like there's adequate liggage going on. And I don't think I need to remove the face for any reason. So I'm free to start filling in some of the gaps that were made when I ripped it off originally. Brimstar says, are your kids interested in the type of work you do? Yeah, usually. My oldest hasn't lived with us for, I don't know, 5 years or something, so he's not around to really show interest, but my younger one, he does a lot of creative stuff, mostly video stuff. He did some sculpting before, but I think he likes video editing more. Sigrid says, I did not understand many of the comments, but that's probably because I lived my way into the book. I'm guessing that's not the right word. And part of it did not make sense for others, gave fine sense to me. And that a word was repeated in the same section did not bother me. Yeah, I mean, that kind of minor feedback is less important to me. You know, like sentence structure and repeated words and stuff. I mean, it's important to address that at some point, but like beta readers, like an editor that you hire is fine for doing that. What beta readers are good at is just giving their general impressions. When they're at a section, if they're confused, when they're at a section that they find particularly enchanting or exciting or whatever, just make a note. Be like, this part's really cool, or I'm not quite sure what's going on here, or this feels like this character wouldn't do this thing or act this way, or even like I'm confused about why a character would do this thing. That's all like really helpful. Grimstar says, I often wonder what my life would be like if my parents were already in the industry or influenced by games or part of that culture. Yeah, I'm really lucky that my mom was, well, my mom and my dad are both fantasy and sci-fi nerds, so definitely get a lot of that from them. A lot of my influences. My mom, actually my dad has done a little bit of art as well, but my mom's definitely artistic. She does more kind of abstract conceptual sculpture stuff. Although she also, when I was little, she used to make puppets and interesting Christmas tree ornaments, mobiles, all sorts of things. I mean, there wasn't a video game industry when, really. I mean, when they were growing up, so they would have had to have a midlife career shift to turn into game developers. Lita says, "Darn that white cap, I keep thinking it's the lion head. Sometimes it pops up with a cloud over it." Oh. I sometimes wonder that too, like where I'd be if I'd actually been able to go to art college, aside from the $1 zillion in debt probably. Yeah. So I'm pretty darn good place right now, except for some certain work-related problems, but that's why I need to move to my next phase in life of being a successful author. Yeah. Sigrid says, "There was no place I was confused. I was so excited that I read the book for 3 or 4 days." That's awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. Thanks. Another really helpful thing that we've got from some of the beta reader comments was they will call out when one of the characters says or does something that they think that just makes them like that character. They'll be like, "Yeah, that makes me really respect or really feel the same." Like when Beaumark reaches Discoria and he suddenly has to pay for things, and he's thinking to himself about how being a royal, he's never had to pay for things before. And I wonder, he's like, "I wonder how long I can make this money last. I don't even know what things are supposed to cost." And yeah, one of the beta readers was like, "This is a really great, interesting detail that makes me empathetic for him, even though he had a blessed childhood as a royal, well, relatively, except for constant threat of death hanging over his head." And they're like, it's just really identifiable, and so they like that, and they mentioned that, and so that gives me tools to be like, or ideas that's like, okay, we can do more of this, like we can add more little details like that will appeal to people and make the character more appealing. Alright, I think this is a good place to call it for tonight. The last thing I'll do is stick the centipede in here and see what it looks like. Alita said, "I think I finished it in about 4 days too. I flew through all 3 books." Wow. Grimstar says, "My girlfriend was debating about joining up in this class where the self-published author reviews your manuscript and gives you feedback. The problem is it's pretty expensive. Do you guys think it would be worth the time/money?" That's tricky. There are so many people out there now claiming to be experts, wanting to take your money for advice, and I have no idea how to vet these people, and like unless they're Stephen King or someone, I don't know how to accurately gauge the value that they can bring you. Stuff's tangled in here pretty good. I don't know if I can get the centipede all the way up into his nasal cavity. Although I see a big blink spot. Oh, now he's tangled. Where's this big blink spot I see? Right here. Okay. Now, if you look in his nostril, you should see this little centipede. I'd love to get his, oh yeah, there's his little eyes. Hello! See him? It's right in there. Letha says this might be a good group for her to join, Brimstar. Then she could ask questions there for free and learn stuff. There are some very experienced authors in that group. It's been the most beneficial group for me. I have a few short stories published in anthologies they release each year. Alright, time for little centipede to go to bed and for me to take a shower because it's leg day. I got all sweaty and filthy and gross. Okay. Let me do a raid. Don't go away yet. Let me see who I can raid. Who we got? Oh, Joe on So Much Monsters. He's a fun guy. Let's raid Joe on So Much Monsters, shall we? Oops. Wait. Oh, I accidentally clicked over there. Sorry, hold on. Now I need to go back to me. Wait. Oh, I accidentally clicked over there. Sorry, hold on. Now I need to go back to me. Wait. Oh, I accidentally... Raid? That's some cool echo, isn't it? Did that work? Alright, here we go. Raiding Mr. Joe on So Much Monsters. He's a former co-worker who worked on Guild Wars and other things. And here we go!
Double check me. Yeah, he's ready. Pickles is ready.